Oh, well, hello. Hello. That's how I address the Ravens. So, what was this? A video request on partners that I used to have, and current ones. Well, I guess we'll start with Mel Ernest Winfield. 1980, I think it was. I met him. Interested in what I was doing. I'm going to explain something here for everybody. This is a question. What I'm doing, or was doing, and still doing, is I like to go back in time and work on vintage machinery. And I took the opportunity to work on vintage electrical machinery. And from the electrical machinery, so I could learn stuff, always learning. I was taking a break from my machine tool stuff, the vintage machine tool studies, vintage firearm study, to vintage Tesla, Steinmetz, and many others stuff. And I found all this vintage electrical machinery and played with it and found odd effects. These odd effects attracted people. To me, I didn't like my metal pieces being twisted up and broken and all that. I thought it was highly dangerous, could affect other things. However, I mentioned it to somebody in Vancouver called Mel Ernest Winfield, who then came around with Bill Ross and started filming the effects. I thought he was a little nuts, but later found out he wanted a partnership. I did sign a paper, but then again, I found out he was a crook. Next on the scene is Alex Pizarro and George Hathaway, who I found to be very honest. George is a meticulous electrical engineer, one of the most honest people I ever met, as well as Alexis Pizarro. We worked together. I did sign an agreement. I was at George Hathaway's dad's home in Toronto, Canada, spent some days there, came back. It was my first airplane trip. It was fun. I got along with George A-okay. Now, mind you, George wanted me to work in this particular fashion for him, and I didn't like that too much. It wasn't in my job description to prove anything with these effects. To me, it was like, I would do more of these effects, which I really didn't want to do because George will confirm this, I was actually throwing the metal samples in the trash. What good are they? Destroyed, wrecked by electrical stuff. So I thought. But anyway, I was at very early stages. I always remember I was at my parents' house when Alex Pizarro interviewed me. Then later on, George showed up, and then George was one of the first ones to film a what he calls an angular bushing. It was a chunk of steel that kind of blew apart. George filmed it along with Philip Galuppi from Hypotronics High Voltage Research Labs from New York and his secretary. Then others would show up and would film stuff, or things would not happen or would happen. And to me, this is getting kind of stressful. The CBC showed up, did a story. I think I don't have a copy of that one. Well, I don't mind media because Georgie calls me a media hound. Okay, they pay good and it's kind of fun doing it, and I love doing it. So what? But if you want somebody, I highly recommend George Hathaway. Dead honest, meticulous in his measurements and science. I always have the highest regards for George Hathaway. Unfortunately, Alexis Pizarro passed away. So as time moved on, Um, George is in Toronto. I'm in Vancouver. Things were happening in a way that I didn't like happening, and I met a new group of folks. George Lissicase of Pinnacle Oil International, or X Energy Corporation in Canada, and Alec Sharashevsky from Estonia, who's kind of like me in many ways. We got along fine. I didn't get along well with George Lissicase. We did accomplish a lot of weird things. Again, it was always the money thing and, oh, this is important, all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, my other interests were kind of suffering because I go in segments, you know. I like to work on vintage restoration of old electrical machinery or build my own. And, you know, I'll go from that. Then I go to firearms, build my own, restore them. Then I go to machine tools, build my own, and restore them, which I do. And other vintage stuff, Navy stuff. Lots of restoration of Navy items. So moving along, there was disagreements and all that, and a court case, a BC Supreme Court case. I got all the documents on that. I went to Germany. I fell in love with the Engasta. Went to Germany. Didn't really care about the lab or anything else at that time. We spent 2 years in Deutschland, over 2 years. Got to return in 1993. But anyway, my sponsor at the time was Peter Kokoschnig, Dr. Margarita Kokoschnig, Roland Brito. And I got along fine with those folks. Very interesting scientists. And that was that. I returned to Vancouver. Actually got a ticket paid for by Canadian Security Intelligence Service. Bob Gawryski, Brian Wallace, Ed Bishop, who had a front company called Car Check of Canada. So I was involved with those characters for a short time, but he, oddly enough, paid for my ticket back to Vancouver, Canada. The lab was taken and put into high security in Surrey, British Columbia, made the front pages of the Vancouver Sun and the newspaper and the TV and radio shows and everything else. So when I returned to Canada, I got some of the stuff back with some of the lab equipment, plus the gun collections, plus I think some machine tools, but a lot of it went off somewhere else. I don't know where it went to, but it did go. The head guy at the time I met from the Canadian government was Richard Glue. Other Canadians was, previous to that, was Dr. Lorne Kuhn, Wilson from DREP, Defense Region Establishment Pacific. What was the name? A bunch of them on orders of Deputy Prime Minister Eric Nilsson. One day film shoot, hid all the videos, can't get them out. Went through Member of Parliament Chuck Cook, and he was told to not get involved as a matter of national security. Okay. Anyway, on to, I'm jumping over so much stuff. Anyway, on to other partners. Let's see. Oh, it was, I return, partners show up. There was Mr. Wasser from Global Scaling from Switzerland. There was Richard Brewer from the United Kingdom. He was he was chief engineer of the tar sands project in Canada. I didn't know I was getting that close involved. It nose to the grind wheel. Anyway, Thomas Messer from the Messer Gas Company in Germany. Messer Hospital Gas. Black sheep of the family. Thomas and I got along fine. We had a lot of fun. I built, at this time, I was building them power cells, and part of the thing, you know, power cells and all that. Well, somebody asked me one time, John, you know this electrical stuff, what did they use in the old days for acquiring electricity? And I said, cat whiskers. And I had these barium titanate cylinders which produce energy on their own. And I thought, okay, I'll be a businessman. I'll say I can guarantee you 1 milliampere at 1 volt. And take it or leave it. I really didn't care because I had my dad's inheritance. So they took it and gave me 10,000 and we made a working unit. And then that went into Japan after it was a group of businessmen in Vancouver, Canada, called Ria Trade. the stack of papers that thick. It's just kind of funny, huh? Ray Trade Business Group. The owner of Bell Helicopters. There was Carl David Anderson. There was all these big names. Anyway, I met the head guy, Joe Ho, his name was. Chinese fellow. Took me out for dinner a number of times and was a very friendly man. Anyway, I did that, and that's how I graduated into somehow these TV shows I was involved with. Reached into Japan, and up comes Mr. Yamabe from Hiroshima City. So he was a partner for, about 1994 to 1990. Then Thomas Messer showed up, and I met again Mr. Yamabe in 2004 after I did Ark of the Covenant, revealed the power unit. Who else was I was partners with? Too many, but they were good people. We had a lot of fun together. And I'm trying to see any other questions or things here. Somebody wanted me to do. Yeah, okay, Yamabe, Mr. Yas, Richard Brewer, Thomas Messer. Forgetting anybody? And a few recents. I can't talk about recents. However, who wanted to work with me was Prince Liechtenstein, but I didn't want to go to Toronto, Canada, and work for George Hathaway. I like doing my own thing. I wasn't out to really prove anything. I don't want to prove anything. I'm not a scientist. I'm always learning. Every day I'm learning something new. I'm not a scientist or an inventor. I have no interest in that. I'm interested in science and learning every day. That's what I do. So I might watch Bob Greener's videos because he's got these metal samples. He analyzes them, and I learn from what he is doing. So because the metal samples I sold a huge amount on eBay, to me they're no good for anything. Somebody else? Maybe yes. I don't know. I keep Major Peter Garrettson of the U.S. Pentagon, former Air Force Division. He was with Advanced Procurement Officer. I keep other personnel notified. This is what Bob Greener's found out about these things. And I'll put links to them. Colonel John Alexander, the Prince, I'll send off a letter once in a while because he's not on the internet that much. And other scientists around the world, I might, because they're on an email list, I say, okay, watch this, maybe something there. But Bob Greener just opens up the whole doorway with this testing and all that. George did testing as well and sent me the test results. Who else was it? Steve Coburn, Roland Brito of Germany, the Max Planck Institute, Dr. Aman of Berlin University, Dr. P.T. Pappas of Greece, of Athens, Greece, Professor of Mathematics and Physics, Dr. René Louis Vallée of France, Andrea Sakharov of the Soviet Union. Piles of letters in boxes. So that I just wanted to cover that. This video request from, I won't name the guy. He wanted to be, no, I can name him. That's it. Oh, that's that one. Oh, that's another one. Let's see. That's from James. Oh, that's for James. Okay. Hello, James. Doing the video as you requested. And what I got a bunch of things. A few. Why do you dress up like a girl? Well, because I am feminine. I have a feminine nature, and I'm quite how do you call it, sexual. And I like acting like an idiot anyway. I love clowning around. I mean, after all, I'm sitting out in the sun, half naked, talking raven talk, and the ravens are talking back to me. I love animals, by the way. That's another one. What's your thing with ravens, crows, squirrels, any animals? I will talk with them. I used to hang out with black bears in Vancouver, Canada. In the evening, when the landfill closed at 4:30, the black bears would come in and eat the garbage. 15 of them. Myself, Bill Ross, and old George the Scrap Guy would go as well, and we'd hang around until sometimes 12 at night, looking for metal, looking for things, and the bears would be eating garbage. So I got along with black bears just fine, and raccoons. I even tamed one at the ecology center. I was working at the ecology center. We had Cleo the coon. I just went in the classroom study section and talked to her, petted her, took her over to the refrigerator, gave her some eggs, and she was quite happy, friendly, and I had to go home, of course, but they made her an inside-outside cage. So I love animals, and ravens are very interactive all day long. They come around, make sounds, and I'm sitting here. I'll show you. I'm in the chair out in the sun, taking a break from machining something or whatever I'm doing. So I go, hello, hello, what? Because they do the similar to me, and I'll make those sounds. I'll go, and we're going back and forth for like sometimes up to an hour or more. And one of them's getting more, like he keeps changing his tune to different, back and forth and go. And they'll go up on the roof, look down at me and start talking. So, heck, it's fun, and I feed them every day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I change their water. I videotape them with the iPad. I leave the iPad on record like it is running now, and just stick it out there with the ravens, and there they are eating away, talking, and doing their stuff. Sometimes a squirrel will show up. Mr. Squirrel, I call him. There's 3 of them, actually. Sometimes a cat will show up. The little cat. So all these animals are... that's a lot of noise. A lot of animals. So, that's what I do. A lot of my time is working the electronics over there. Have all these transceivers, signal generators, receivers, and other test gear, electrovolt meters, selective voltmeters, and I'll be measuring radio waves and ambient energy and all that cool stuff. Then I'll go into machining stuff. I'll be working on a lathe, building a lathe. I got 2 lathes here I'm building. I'll go into the armory and work on an Oerlikon cannon, put it together, clean it, make parts for it. I made a whole bucket of what they call cotters. Pins. They're the cotters that go in and hold the rails on the Oerlikon. And I didn't have any, so I made a bunch of those one time. I had a lot of fun doing it. Got tool steel. This measured exactly, good fine steel. Cut them all up to the right lengths, drilled them, machined them. I made the whole box of cutters. Then I was making slide pieces. The cutters go in. I'll do that. I might restore a vintage Civil War firearm or something else. I go around in circles doing stuff. Vintage Navy stuff, there's all kinds of things I'm doing. Let's see here. Vintage Navy. Yeah, Clint Oliver. These are free from Richard. in Texas. A pile of them. So I'll be working on that. I got stuff like this on eBay. You peel the paper up and you got brand new glass. Oh, that's that one. What else are we doing? Oh, ship's wheels, cannons, artillery. Some of you might know what this is. This is a spring retainer brass piece for a Beaufort's anti-aircraft 40mm cannon barrel. So I was working on that, restoring that. Kind of stuff I do. Yeah, if I tilt it up, you can see. I'll maybe see it. I don't know. Piles of stuff over there. It all requires restoration. I like getting stuff at scrap price. I found a huge amount of Oerlikon cannon shoulder mounts and gun sights. I don't know, 800 kilos of them, almost a ton, at scrap price. Got the collector's mad at me because I took all those shoulder mounts, sights, some barrels. Usually they sell for several $1,000 each on eBay. Not on eBay, Gunbroker, or wherever you can buy them. Kaput over in New Zealand, charging, what is it, almost $1,000 for a bolt and other pieces and parts. No, I don't think so. I get all that stuff at scrap price and I have a lot of it. Anyway, so I got my trusty hacksaw. I like sawing the metal sometimes, making the parts. Let's see if you can see down here, right over here. Lathe. So basically I like vintage restoration and learning things from people. That's electrical machinery, steam stuff, machine tools, cannons, artillery. So you see what I'm up against. Just because there's some weird effects associated with vintage electrical machinery, they think, oh, I'm a doctor, I'm a physicist, I know this, I know that. I don't know anything really. I'm learning every day, so I keep searching and searching and searching. I'm really not smart. Okay? I have to learn everything. I have to learn what this is, what it's made out of, you know? How to repair it, how to restore it, how to put proper spring tension on things like that. Now this, how does it work? Okay, I repaired it. Did it create any weird effects? No, not really. Anyway. Carbon button lighting sources. It's fun to play with electrical machinery. There are tons of it. Like, here, we'll take a look at this. Restoring this stuff. And you get weird effects from RF. Diathermy machines. High voltage. I used to add up, for Pete's sake, I got a ball lightning generator. More or less bead lightning, but it did work. A lot of fun with that stuff. I wasn't out to claim something. I'm not in that position to claim anything. Me? Keep notes? No, I'm not into that. And that's one of the things the Canadian government didn't like. Oh, John, you should keep notes. Same as George Hathaway. Oh, John, you gotta keep notes. No, I'm not. What? Me keep notes? No. Also, One thing I like doing is I see it in my head, I don't talk about it, and I do it. And with these things, files, patience, screwdrivers. I love these hacksaw blades. Still sharp after all the cutting I'm done with them. I gotta find out the brand of these things. They work really cool. So I do the rough stuff with either this, and unless it's really big, I have to use a power hacksaw, cut it, then I'll do the milling and lathe work. Anyway, it's been a long video. I think it is 25 minutes long. Well, tonight I'm going to watch Bob Greener's video on the metal samples. What he found out about them, I don't know, but I hope it's going to be interesting and I'll learn from Bob Greener. As well as another video place I like watching is Giant Wave Master. The ERRB ships in the North Sea. A fellow Scots group. To say that anyway. So it's going to be a long video to upload tonight. Alright, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to smile. And I'll get dressed up more like a girl for yellow.
Oh, how sweet.
Get rid of these things. Remold the face. Look hot and sexy. Okay, back to reality, Mr. John.
Oh, okay.
So, briefly, right around the corner is that electrical stuff.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Right over here. I was running it a few months ago. Getting interesting results. Added hypersensitivity to everything. Really cool. Yeah, I was using a barium tightly cylinder for that. I just did a barium levitation thing the other day. So, this is quite a long video. It's going to take a while, half a month. Back to reality, whatever that is. Broadcasting live around the world and in your home, this is John Cage. The hot one, the lady boy of the century, broadcasting on 100 million watts of RF power, broadcasting around the world and in your home at 1:30. Never mind. Okay, so you guys keep safe. That's a weird piece of wood. Oh, you guys keep safe. And as I keep saying, I'm learning something new every day. I have to study. I like studying stuff on the internet. It's fast. Before that, it was my dad's encyclopedia. Just pull out the books. You had a whole everything: psychology, zoology. What else was there? Post complete works. All the good stuff. So before Google, I had that access to that books. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not an inventor, I'm nothing, really. I'm just a human being. Kind of an outsider looking at the humans how it is now. I look at more into the future, inspired by Gene Roddenberry and also George Gamow, a physicist, astrophysicist. Sir Albert Einstein. Read it in bits and pieces in the encyclopedia, Space and Time. So really, I'm just like you. I'm just learning something new every day and doing it. I guess on a closing note, was visiting George Hathaway in Toronto. He gave me this. I'll take you over there and you can look at it. Still have it. That was from George's lab in Toronto. I still say, if you want information on free energy claims, contact George Hathaway, or other claims, contact him. He's a genius in what he does do. And I do miss him. I think he's a good soul, kind soul. I'm just an asshole that didn't go along with him. And I'm sure he's hurt by that, but it's just the way I am. Sorry. So, anyway, here's one of those hacksaw blades. I'll get a number off it or something, or name, and see if I can find more. You guys take care. We'll see you later. Okay, dokie.